down here are part of the 229 module in the management school, and Pat has followed on from Chris Kirby of Magnamatics, another Sheffield company. Yeah. Yeah, sure. So Pat has a long experience of managing and running companies. He joined Henderson's Relish 2 years ago, and he's going to talk about Henderson's past, present, the future. Yeah. So I'm sure the reason this room is so full is because of the iconic status of Henderson's, probably the most recognisable brand of Sheffield. So I'm really interested myself in hearing what Pat has to say. So thank you very much, and I'll pass you over to Pat.
Great. Thanks very much. Thank you. Can everyone hear me? Is that okay? Yeah?
Yeah.
Just sort of the brand, not myself that brings you all here, I know that. Just talk about myself first. My career has gone from trucks to Relish. I started a long time ago as an apprentice at Vauxhall Motors, worked there for 18 years, ended up in charge of all their van and truck sales in the UK. And then General Motors ended the truck sales in the UK, and I had an opportunity to go and run the truck dealership in Sheffield, my first sort of foray into Sheffield. And I ran what is now the Iveco dealer in Handsworth, which is a show of trucks. From there I went and ran a DAF dealership. DAF had bought a dealership by default. Somebody wasn't paying them for their trucks, and they needed someone to sort of sort it out, so I sorted it out for them in Northampton and Kettering. Then some friends asked me if I'd open a Iveco truck dealership for them in Immingham, and went to set one up for them. And some advice, never worked for friends. And after that, I then went around a Mercedes truck dealership in Leeds for Pendragon PLC, the largest car dealerships in the UK. And then after 3 years of doing that, just one day I decided that I'd had enough. And the main board director, Kevin, came out and had a chat with me, and I said, Kevin, that's it, I've had enough. The truck trade, I'm packing it in, just handed my notes in. They went home and told the wife, and that was more difficult than Kevin. I took a month off, and then I met the couple who were into orthodontics. And a guy called Damien, who set up a practice in Doncaster. What he wanted to do was open a multi-chair orthodontics practice. It was the first one in the UK, and what we ended up with was one floor with 6 chairs on, one with 3 chairs on, and an ordinary dental surgery at the back with 1 chair. And we used to long sort of terminology, it was stack them high, sell them quick. We used to get the patient in, and the nurse would triage, explain what was going to happen. The orthodontist would come and have a look, prescribe the work, get a therapist to do it, and the orthodontist would go away, so you get all 6 chairs working at one time, and upstairs get 3. And we ended up with one of the largest orthodontics contracts in the NHS. 4 years ago, we got a 5.5-year contract, and the business was never ever going to be worth as much again. So Damien sold the business to a company called IDH, Integrated Dental Holdings, and they're the largest dental company in the UK. And I stuck that for 2 years working for them. And I say stuck it because it was, I felt like I was almost I had eyelets in my clothes, and I was a puppet going to work. And so after 2 years, I'd met the Freeman family, who now own Henderson's, because my wife has worked at Henderson's for 10 years previously, and they asked if, because Dr. Freeman had died, I'll explain that in a bit, whether I'd go and run the company for them for a few years. And that's how I ended up at Henderson's. What I'm going to do is just have a quick chat about just the history, talk about the brand, talk about where we are, what we've done this year, and just some ideas of what we're going to do most probably next year. I think what you may well be surprised at straight away is that only 6 people in Henderson's, and 2 of those are part-time. It's actually equivalent to 5 people, and 5 people, we make 600,000 bottles a year. We administer it, buy the materials, mix it, bottle it, and distribute it. And just 6 people do it. So 5 people do that. So 3 sort of main stages to Henderson's history. I've just gloss over this one. Henry Henderson, Shores of Huddersfield, and then the Cullen family. Henry Henderson started the company. He was born in 1850, and something I think I'm about to tell most Sheffield people here that they don't know is he wasn't born in Sheffield. He actually came from Nottinghamshire. He came from near Gainsborough. He was the 13th child in the family. He started life as an apprentice miller when he became a miller, and then moved to Sheffield, and he got married straight away. He moved to Sheffield. So whether he moved for love or he met the lady in Sheffield when he first came, I'm not sure. He then set up a dry salters. The dry salters obviously cured meat and that, and he invented Henderson's in the back of his shop and started selling Henderson's in very small bottles. And people used to go back and get them refilled, and that's how it all started. We say it started in 1885. Now, last year, Henderson's Relish 1870 to 1910 was a subject on the MA History course here at the university. And one of the students took it up, Eric. Eric took it up, and Eric was not from Sheffield, he was from near Lewes in Sussex, which was great because there was someone looking at it from different eyes. And he came up with lots of information that we didn't know before. And it may well have been that he actually started the business in 1883. But we can't corroborate that, but it does look likely. And also, he also found the signature of Henry Henderson's, which is something we didn't have before. So that comes into play a bit later. I'll show that a bit later. Henry Henderson lived until he was 80, and he died in a nursing home on the front at Skegness. So Skegness is a big place in sort of Sheffield people's hearts. So even Henry Henderson ended up in Skegness. And Henry Henderson, say at 80, having been born in 1850, and then Dr. Freeman, who's recently owned the company, dying at 93. We think we can sort of mostly claim that Henderson's Relish has got some form of long life sort of in there, so that if you keep drinking it, you'll last a long time. Henry Henderson sold the business in 1910, and he sold it to a company called Shaw's of Huddersfield. Now Shaw's of Huddersfield is still in existence today, and that's one of their ranges. They're a pickle company, and very well run. I think, again, still a family business. Part of Shaw's taking over Henderson's, they brought in a general manager called Charles Hinksman. And Charles Hinksman married one of the daughters of the Shaws. And in 1940, Charles Hinksman bought the company from Shaw's. And it's the same family since 1940 that's owned Henderson's. So he was sort of the start of the current sort of family. That's Dr. Freeman. Dr. Freeman died 2 years ago, but I was brought into the company. Dr. Freeman ran the business for 25 years. He inherited it from his aunt, who was GP, who was just about to retire. Well, he had just retired. His aunt gave him Henderson's. So he ran Henderson's 26, 27 years after he retired. And now he's his wife, Pam's 83 last Saturday, and the son and daughter, Pam now owns the company, and Simon and Julie will take the company on in the future. Company's been in 4 locations. Broad Lane, which is not far from here. 66 Liverpool Road is actually, I think, the tram stop, because they cut half of the Liverpool Road through when they put the ring road and the tram in. So that's what that used to be. And obviously this building, which is very, very much loved by people of Sheffield. We moved from there to 2A Parkway Rise 2 years ago. We used to lease it. We leased the building, and our lease was reduced to 3 years. And we needed to gain a quality accreditation, which I'll also touch on later. And we had to put tens of thousands of pounds of investment into that building, and we couldn't buy it. Dr. Freeman offered whatever you like for the building, but it had been pre-sold to the University of Sheffield. The University of Sheffield now own Henderson's building. These two lead to garages are going to be knocked down quite soon, so as to part of the pedestrianisation that's going on there. But there was then going to be another building put on the back, and on December the 1st, there will be an announcement, a joint announcement from Henderson's and the University of Sheffield of what's going to happen to that building. I know what's going to happen, it's really exciting, can't say anything, but it will be a place that the public will be able to go into, and the signs may get refurbished, because I think this one's cardboard, the reddish. The signs will stay on the building, so that's something to look forward in the next couple of weeks. That's where we are today, purpose-built for food, so it is ideal for us. We now own that building. Well, it's a 999-year lease, so we now own that building. and that's where Henderson moved to. Dr. Freeman agonised for 2 years at least over whether to move and whether people would be upset about Henderson's moving, because he couldn't reconcile whether people bought the building or bought the relish. And in the end decided people do buy the relish, the relish that they drink. And unfortunately he fell ill before they moved, and my wife, she moved everything out of the old building into there, not physically, but did with the organisation. Henderson's, as some of you know, but obviously people new to Sheffield don't know, is a very, very unique product. We've already realised how unique it is, only being 5 people roughly, really, making 600,000 bottles. But the heritage of it is really seeped in Sheffield. Sheffield is Henderson's, Henderson's is Sheffield, and we have some really good, passionate fans. I'll show you this. I'll show you some tattoo later on. We know of at least 5 people in Sheffield who have got tattoos of Henderson's bottles on different parts of their body. And in fact, my wife used to be in the old building. She was in there one day, and somebody rang the bell, came in, and this guy started I've got something to show you. And he lifted his leg up, and she thought, I've got a flasher. And what it was to show her the tattoo on his leg. And unfortunately, my wife, she said, "You silly boy." So it was not the right response, but anyway. Just thought they was responsive. Being a small company, it's great being a small company. Our biggest competitors, Lee & Perrins, they're owned by H.J. Heinz. And H.J. Heinz, big American corporation, and we can just sort of do things quick. That bottle was done for Jess Ennis when she won a gold medal. And 3 days after she'd won the gold medal, that was on the shops. If that would have been Heinz, to have done that, it would have been 3 board meetings in the UK, 3 in the States, come back, by which time you'd have been on the next Olympics. So being responsive is really good. And a couple of USPs for us is that we're a vegetarian product and gluten-free. Gluten-free is very significant. We had quite considerable sales rise in the last 2 years. Partly is because of gluten-free. 10% of the population now desire a gluten-free diet. Whether they need it or not, they desire one. And when Djokovic stands up having won Wimbledon with his trophy and says, one of the things of my fitness regime is down to being gluten-free, it all adds to it. The brand. I would say, and sort of said that himself really, in Sheffield, Henderson's is as big as Coca-Cola. It really is. We really are that big. And one of the things is the colour, and the colour of orange is all over Sheffield. Where the Steelers are orange, there's quite a lot of people who have orange. And people also criticise us, say, oh, we copied Lee & Perrins. And Lee & Perrins were there before us, but we also feel that the colour of Sheffield is orange anyway in the steel, and that's where the colour orange comes from in Sheffield, as well as Henderson's. We've guarded the brand. We see ourselves as guardians, really. We don't own it, we don't manage it. We're guardians of that brand, because it's actually the base of all of the people that love Henderson's that really keeps Henderson's going as a company. And so, we're very, very mindful of that. We also feel we're one of the first social media companies in the UK. And our social media, though, is talking across fences, neighbour to neighbour, down the pub, in the club, at break times in the factory, on the factory floor. Because there's always been social media, it's just called something different. It's just a different sort of form now. And so we think, then social media has always played a big part of our development. And the folklore and and part of the folklore of Henderson's is there was a secret ingredient. Well, these days you can't have secret ingredients. You have to put it on the bottle. And so everything that's in there is on the bottle. However, every 3-4 months, one of the family come into the factory, and there are 3 small items. I know what the ingredients are, but I don't know what the mix is. And they put the goggles on, because one of them is garlic oil, and that's really strong. And they mix the 3 together, and they make it up into big containers, and we know how much of that goes in each of the vats we make each day. So it still is a secret to the family. There's only 3 people in the country, and the recipe is in the safe and our accountants, who know how that's mixed, and then that is the secret now of Henderson's. People used to ask whether everyone worked in the old building, and you now know why they asked that, because there aren't many people there anyway. And they used to think it was sort of chocolate factory, and it was Oompa Loompas who were in there making Hendersons. And we often find the amount of people that ring us up, that are digging in their garden, that they're excavating somewhere, doing something, and they're always turning up new old Henderson's relish bottles. They're found everywhere all over Sheffield. There's one of the tattoos I said about. So this is just sort of some of the art that sort of is around Henderson's. What we've done in the new factory, in the reception, upstairs, and corridor upstairs, and in an office, we've been collecting different bits of art and old bottles, etc. We've got quite a sort of good gallery now, quite a good gallery, and also a museum. We hope sometime in the next 6 months to open the factory, just to have perhaps one Saturday, and let people come and have a quick walk round, but also see all the art and everything that we've collected. But it's all part of developing that folklore, developing that nearness with the people of Sheffield. What do we make and do? All we make is Henderson's relish. We don't make anything else. That's all we do. That's the traditional bottle, the 284 millilitre bottle, which is this one here. It's changed a bit recently. I'll explain that in a bit. We do a smaller one, a 142 millilitre bottle, which is half the size. That's used for cafes and restaurants. We sell that to Wetherspoons. Wetherspoons buy that in any Wetherspoons pub in the UK can have Henderson's in their pub if the local manager wants it. And that really came about by us supplying Sheffield, which is about 30 pubs around about Sheffield, Wetherspoons. And at a board meeting one day, the managing director of Wetherspoons said, we'd done it through the back door. We weren't going through their proper process of going through all the proper invoice trail. And we were selling it to a pub in Chapeltown, who was then selling it to everybody else around, sort of thing. And he said, he found out about what's going on, and everyone thought they were going to be in trouble then. What it was that the guy, managing director of Wetherspoons, comes from Sheffield. So he said, right then, we'll have it in all the pubs in the country, and we'll do it properly. So now we're supplying Wetherspoons. We do Sheffield United Sheffield Wednesday bottles, which are sold in the club shop and pubs, and not pubs, butchers and delis around the town. We do a litre container, which is plastic. We do lots of those, and those for Sheffield expats all over the world. We send them everywhere. It's the furthest, I suppose, one of the most unusual is Falklands. We send them to. They're always going somewhere. And then that's a gallon container. And the gallon container is for catering. The Sheffield Hospital Trust here, they buy quite a lot, which they use in a lot of their food. One of Heston Blumenthal's pubs down in Bray, he buys it off us every now and then. It goes to a butcher's in Southampton, and that butcher's makes beef burgers for national chain of pubs. So if you were to go in one of those, you're mostly having Henderson's, or you don't know it. And then we then do 1,000 litres at a time, which we send to Yorkshire Crisps. Yorkshire Crisps freeze dry it, and then spray it onto Henderson's Relish Yorkshire Crisps. And we also do a slight variation of it, which we sell to another company. They add something to it, and then that product is also on major supermarkets all over the country as well. So Henderson's sort of does get into everything. That's the production line. Now, the production line was installed in the old building in 1960, and we believe it was second-hand then. And that's what we make the 600,000 bottles on the year. What's the beauty about it in Sheffield is there's one electronic component on there. Everything else is mechanical. And so we can get it, anything breaks, we can get it milled, drilled, welded, whatever in Sheffield. There's always someone in Sheffield that can still do that. So if it does break down, we'd never sort of be down for more than a couple of days. Right, onto the sort of business side of it. This year we had sort of some different objectives. One of them was rebranding, and you may well have seen our new bottle. We have to, for December 2016, we have to put the nutritional value on the bottle. Everybody will have to display nutritional value from December 2016. So we thought we'd do it early. And in doing it early, we that's nutritional value. And doing it early, we used Eric's research into Henry Henderson's signature, and we were able to put that on there. And we've also added the Yorkshire Rose. Now, Henderson's is Sheffield, is South Yorkshire, but it is also now Yorkshire. There's a lot of people in Yorkshire now, and we've spread out into Yorkshire. And people are looking for products with problems. They want to know where the product comes from. They want it to be local to them. And so, you know, having that Yorkshire Rose on there has helped us to get into other markets. We also decided this year to, well, when we're doing that, we thought, right, new packaging. This box, we buy our glass from Alloy Glass, and they used to send the bottle, empty bottle, to a packer who would buy the box in, buy the insert, pack the bottles in empty like that, send it back to an Alloy Glass, which send it to us. And in doing that, we designed this box, which we can just make ourselves. You can see how easy it is to make. Which then we just put the bottles in and then fold it over. And they hold the bottles in that. And in doing that, that has saved us tens of thousands of pounds because of the cost of that box and sending it out to be repacked and coming back in. So cost control is something always, you know, necessary to have a look at. And the other beauty about this box, it's all perforated. It's a shelf-ready packaging, and you can just rip it off, so you can then just put it onto the shelf. We've also designed it, because all the time you've got to keep looking forward. White inside. One thing that Aldi want is white box inside. We're currently talking to Aldi, whether we ever get anywhere with Aldi, we're talking to them now for 18 months, but yeah, so we're prepared for them already. So we did the rebranding in September, new packaging in September. We actually launched a new website in September. It's got an online shop in September as well. September was a busy month, very busy month. We didn't go on holiday in September. And we've also this year added a few extra customers. Costco, Deli Fresh are a wholesaler. We're really keen on getting into Deli Fresh. Deli Fresh has got quite some high profile customers. We've now got into one of those. There's one other that I'd really like them to get into. We've also got into Netto. Netto have come back into the UK. They've opened 14 stores. We're in 5 of them. Hopefully we'll be in all 14 soon. But that's a joint venture, Netto, with Sainsbury's this time. They'll come back in the UK. The big thing to us this year was stopping delivering to supermarkets and delivering to their depots. We used to deliver, I'll take Morrison's as an example. Morrison's we used to deliver to 28 stores all over Lincolnshire, South Yorkshire, North Notts, and the rest, and some other parts of Yorkshire, not everywhere. And by going into depot, we're in